Welcome to the InvestFourMore Real Estate Podcast. My name is Mark Ferguson, and I am your host. I am an active real estate investor. I flip 15 to 30 houses a year. I've got residential and commercial rental properties. I'm an agent with 9 people on my real estate team who've sold thousands of houses over the years. And I talk about what's going on in my career, as well as interview other amazing agents, investors, landlords, flippers, wholesalers, and companies who can help those people succeed. So I want to give a quick shout out to my sponsor, Patch of Land. They funded a flip for me in 6 days. I emailed them on a Sunday afternoon. They responded in less than 15 minutes. They have rates below 8%, work in 45 states, will fund 85% of a deal, and fund the repairs as well. Great company who I love working with, Patch of Land. And for my podcast listeners, I have a special discount page for my products, InvestFourMore.com/discount. That's InvestFourMore.com/discount. We've got coupons on all my coaching programs. Some of those programs involve calls with me, consulting, video training, and much, much more. All right, let's get to the show. Hey, it's Mark Ferguson with InvestFourMore, and welcome to another podcast episode. Today, I'm going to talk about goals. So I don't know how many of you read the last article I wrote from last week, but I went over all my goals from 2017, how I did, and what I plan to do in 2018 as well. So I'm going to go over those as well on this podcast, talk about what I'm going to do, what I've done, maybe some changes I'm going to make, things that are going to be different for the next year, and hopefully can help some of you set your own goals, keep track of your goals, and hopefully accomplish some of your goals or at least get close to them. All right. Before I get started, it's a new year. Really appreciate everyone's support on the blog. We've been going now for over 4 years, which seems kind of crazy. I started back in 2013 and now it's 2018, kind of crazy. Over that time, flipped, what am I at? 141 flips, something like that now. I've bought 20 rentals, sold a lot of houses as an agent. And things have evolved over that time. Went from being strictly an agent to an investor, rentals, flips, running a team, all kinds of crazy stuff has gone on. So it's been a lot of fun. I really appreciate everyone's support. For those of you who've bought books or coaching programs, I know I've helped a lot of people out there. And if you have any questions or any comments for me, you can always email me, mark@InvestFourMore. I do my best to respond to everybody and help as much as I can. And yeah, we'll get going with this episode. All right, so every year I do an article on what my goals were for the previous year and what my upcoming goals are for the next year. Kind of go over my success, my failures, how things went, and what my plans are. And last year I did a podcast on this as well, and I'm of course going to do a podcast now on it too, just give you some more insight on my thoughts, what I'm thinking, and how I, have really made myself more successful by planning, by setting goals, by being as proactive as I can in my business and life. You can't just float through life and hope things will happen to you. I did that for a few years. It didn't go very well. Nothing really happens if you don't go out there and make it happen. Some people maybe get lucky with inheritance or winning the lottery, but a lot of times they lose that money very quickly because they don't know how to handle it. They aren't prepared for it. So instead of worrying about people who are making or getting lucky, think about the people who made it, who came from nothing, were able to find success and really build on that success and make themselves happy, content, and have a lot of fun in life. Because usually the people who do it themselves and get there on their own are going to be much better off in the long run because they've been through what it takes to become successful. They know how long it takes, how much work it takes. It doesn't happen overnight. Even with professional athletes, a lot of people say, they're making millions of dollars for out there playing a game. Well, you don't see the 7 days a week or 6 days a week that they're practicing for hours on end nonstop, and the workouts they do, the running they do, the weights they lift, the studying of playbooks, and it's a ton of work. And they do this for years and years and years just to make it to college. And then they do it for years in college just for a hope of maybe becoming a professional someday. And less than 1% of them ever become professional. So it's not an easy, I'm playing a game, making $1 million. There's a lot of work that goes into it, just like business, just like people who make a ton of money at other jobs. It doesn't happen overnight. It won't just come to you. You have to plan for your success, have the right attitude, and then you'll start to see some of that success come. It's not just going to happen. So goals were something that really helped me out, helped me become successful. I kind of started my career as an agent 3 or 4 years in, started making some accidental goals. I, was getting annoyed with how much money I was making, thought things weren't fair when I was on my team with my father, that he didn't pay me enough money, and wrote out this big, long plan about how crazy it was for me to make decent money, how many houses I have to sell, and just how ridiculous it was that I got paid so little money. I was pretty naive and short-sighted back then. But in the end, I kind of accidentally wrote some goals by doing that. And I kind of wrote out this little plan that I thought was kind of a demonstration of how unfair life was. But in reality, it was kind of a plan for success of what I could do. Instead of thinking, oh man, look how horrible it is, look how much I'd have to do to make good money, you're thinking, wait a second, here's my plan. Here's how many houses I have to sell. Here's what I have to do to make good money, and look at it in a positive light. I probably would have been much more successful much sooner had I thought of it that way. But at the same time, it still kind of worked. It kind of got that seed in my head that maybe if I did take control, if I did sell more houses, if I did do more things on my own, then I would obviously make more money and be more successful. And it did help. I mean, within a couple of years of that, I really started making big changes in my life, working harder, planning more, setting goals, doing different things at work, kind of set myself apart, find my own niche. I found the REO business. I started selling hundreds of houses a year as an REO agent, and I was making good money. And then I started setting goals for rental properties, started setting goals for flipping, created the blog, started setting goals for the blog. Just kind of planned my whole life. And the more I planned, the more I sat down and thought about the big picture and what I want to do, the more successful I became. It's just kind of like a snowball. The more success you have, the more time you have to plan because you've got more money, you can hire more people, and you get more successful because you had more time to plan, and it just builds and builds and builds, and it all starts with just setting goals from the very beginning. So anybody out there who isn't setting goals, who isn't thinking about their future, really planning things out, you need to do it right away. Things will not happen for you. You can't just hope to someday get lucky. You have to make your success, and it's really hard to become successful as well if you don't know what success is. There's a lot of people I talk to out there, and I ask them, they say, I want to get into real estate. I want to invest in properties. I'm like, okay, what's your goal? They're like, well, I want to buy some investment properties. Like, what kind of properties? They're like, I don't know, flip or rental or something. I'm like, okay, how many do you want to buy? Well, I don't know. I just want to buy some. Okay, how much money do you make? Well, I'm not sure. I just want to invest. They have no idea what they want to do. They just have this idea of investing in real estate, but they don't know what kind of real estate, where they're going to buy it, how much they're going to buy it for, how many houses they want, what their end goal is. So really what you have to do if you're planning to get into real estate, any type of business, is look at the end goal. What do you want to accomplish from this? Is it a certain amount of money? Is it a certain amount of cash flow every month? Is it a certain amount of houses? Is it time? Do you want freedom? What is it that you want? Figure out what kind of your dream life would be like, and then work backwards from there on how you would get it. And maybe it'll take you 10 years to get there, maybe 5, maybe 20. But at least you have an end goal in mind. You can create a path to get there based on working backwards from that goal. So that's kind of where my goal to buy 100 properties came from. Was I just thought to myself, okay, what would be my most awesome life? Where I have all this money coming in every month without really working. And okay, how do I do that? All right, maybe I buy rental properties to bring cash flow. Cool. All right. And then I think, how long is that going to take me? And I looked at how many properties I was buying at the time, figured I could always improve things, make it much better in the future. So I made a bigger goal than I thought, I could accomplish at the time, but I knew in the future things would change. And I worked back every year on how that would happen, what I would have to do to reach that goal. And that's really how you should build your goals, is have some kind of end game in mind, and all your goals should be part of that plan to reach that end kind of life dream or whatever you want to call it. All right, a little bit on setting goals. Like I said, if you want to be specific on what success is, you need to be specific on what your goals are as well. You can't just have a goal to make a bunch of money in 2018. A bunch of money to somebody in Ethiopia could be $30. A bunch of money to somebody living in New York City, in Manhattan, could be $3 million a year. Or maybe somebody in Milwaukee, they just want to make $10,000 a month. What does a bunch of money mean to you? You have to be very specific. Like, hey, I want to make $10,000 a month in passive income by August of 2020. That's a specific goal. You can work backwards to get there. So make your goals as specific as possible. If you want a goal to buy a car, I have lots of those goals. I love buying cars. I've bought some really cool cars, but I had goals for when I wanted to buy them, what dates, and I was as specific as possible about what that car was, what color it was, what it looked like, what year it was, those types of things. It doesn't happen exactly as you plan, but at least the more specific you can be, the more real it will seem to you, which will make it more likely to happen. So make your goals as specific as possible when you're setting them. Give yourself a time frame for when you can set them, when you're going to achieve them. You can't just have a goal to someday buy real estate. You need to have a date for when it's going to happen. And all this, a goal should be something you can say 1 year from now. Say your goal was set to happen on January 1st of 2019. You should be able to look at that goal and say, hey, did I accomplish it? Yes or no? It shouldn't be, well, I sort of accomplished it, or maybe I'm in progress. You should be able to say, yes, I accomplished that goal, or no, I did not. And speaking of that, it is not bad to not accomplish goals. Totally fine. A lot of people don't want to set big goals because they don't want to fail. They don't want to feel like, oh, I didn't accomplish it. I feel bad about myself, yada, yada, yada. Who cares? All right. Goals are meant to make you achieve more and be a better person, better at your business, whatever you're trying to do. The goal is not the point. All right. If you accomplish a goal, great. But that's not the exciting part about goals. Goals are there to make you do more than you would have done without the goals. So if you set easy to accomplish goals, you probably will not do as much or accomplish as much as if you set more difficult goals or goals that you don't quite know how you're going to reach, but force you to think outside the box, to work harder, to do things a little different. And I always set my goals a little higher than maybe I think I can accomplish. And I still want them to be realistic, though. I don't want them to be so crazy that I know it's impossible to achieve them, because then they aren't real. But if you set them just a little bit higher, it keeps you working all year long. It makes you think about different ways to do things. If you're chugging along and you realize you're behind on your goal, you really stop to think and say, hey, okay, what can I do different? What can we do to improve things to get me closer to this goal? So I have had a number of goals that I've set that I didn't reach, and I was okay with that. I think actually some of the best goals are goals that you almost reach, you get really close to, but don't quite hit, because it keeps you working all year long, it makes you think harder, but you don't hit it, so you don't relax at all. So I'm not saying you can't relax at all, but just as a business mindset, those goals seem to be the best for me. All right, let's get into my 2017 goals, and I'll recap what happened last year. All right, so one of my big goals from last year, something completely outside my comfort zone, something I'd never done before, was to buy a 50,000 square foot or larger commercial building. I did not do it. That's okay. I actually made a ton of progress towards this goal, learned a ton about commercial real estate, and came really close to buying one. So there's a very giant commercial building. It was 280,000 square feet, been vacant for 10 years, totally dilapidated. They actually had it under contract for a couple months and went through the whole process of talking to investors who are going to partner with me on it, talking to banks, talked to construction companies, got some bids for repairs, had architects draw up plans for me. And in the end, that deal fell apart, mostly because it was twice as much as I thought to fix it up, which brand new to commercial real estate. So you're going to make mistakes. You're going to underestimate things sometimes, but I learned. And then there were some access issues that were created by the seller kind of after I had the property under contract with some other parcels they sold, which really wrecked my whole plan to divide the building up into smaller spaces and either rent or sell those spaces out. So in the end, I learned a lot, took some really cool videos that I will eventually post. I promise I want to do some before and after videos of the property, and I haven't got to my after videos, but I'll do that eventually. And learned a lot about commercial. So many things I didn't know about, different terms like TI, which means tenant improvement. A lot of landlords will pay for their tenants to fix up properties, to for restaurants, to put in equipment, things like that. Triple N leases, gross leases, asbestos, harmful, so many different things I learned about commercial. It was great to go through that experience and learn everything. It cost me, a couple $1,000s and costs to do some things. It was well worth it, well worth the education. And on more exciting news, I currently have a different property under contract to buy at the end of this month. So we're still going through our inspection process, still going through the loan process, but that is a 70,000 square foot building that hopefully we will buy here at the end of this month or maybe next month. And once that is done, I will unload on you guys with information about commercial properties, this particular property, and of course do all kinds of videos on it as well too. So that is a super exciting thing. I don't see any reason why it wouldn't work unless there's some kind of crazy loan stuff going on, but that's getting closer and closer to happening. So I will let you guys in on all of that once that occurs. So that goal didn't get accomplished, but it still caused me to pursue it a lot. I learned so much, and I'm really close to doing one now, just a little bit later than I wanted to. All right, moving on. I wanted to flip 30 houses in 2017. I flipped 18 in 2016. I think the year before that I did 12, something like that. So I've really ramped up the flipping business. I was an REO agent for a long time, as I said, selling a couple hundred houses a year for a few years in a row. Well, foreclosures disappeared in Colorado. So it was really hard to sell REOs, which are foreclosures, when there aren't any. And I had to change my strategies. I kind of went from being, primarily an REO agent to primarily a house flipper. And I can tell you, I love flipping houses much more than I love being an REO agent. Much less stress. I have much more control. It's much more fun for me. So I really love it. I don't think I'll ever go back to being a straight REO agent again. I love flipping houses. So that's why those numbers have increased, why those goals have increased. And what I did in 2017, I came super close. I ended up flipping 26 houses. So I sold 26 flips in 2017. I bought 27 flips in 2017. So I came really close. Didn't quite get there. For a while there, I thought I might reach it. But always have delays when you're flipping houses. No matter what, there's always a delay for some reason. But was still an awesome year. And we're going to up that goal here, which I'll talk about later. But that was an awesome experience. I've learned so much about improving the process with my contractors, had more lenders, more banks. Nikki on my team is my project manager, has been awesome and amazing this year, improving the processes with the contractors, with invoicing, with properties I buy. She's kind of in voice in my ear to tell me to stay away from the problem properties, which I have a habit of doing. So that's been a ton of help. And really, that's been the core of my business. And I really enjoy flipping, and it's been a ton of fun. So we'll keep working on that here coming up into this year. All right. Another goal I had for 2017 was to sell 200 houses as a real estate team. And I've had this goal for a while. I keep setting this goal. I keep coming up woefully short. And I always figure, hey, I sold 200 houses by myself a few years. Why can't my team do it? And it's just the market is really tough to sell a lot of houses as an agent right now. There's just very little inventory in Colorado. There has been for years and years. And there's really maybe one or two agents even coming close to doing that in this area with teams, not just agents by themselves. So it's really not surprising them not hitting that goal. And I'm not really hands-on with a real estate team either. I kind of let my team manager do that. And we've had some turnover with agents who have left and joined the team. So it's tough to hit that goal. And we sold, almost 100 houses. So didn't do too bad, definitely not too bad. We had good sales volume, around $20-some million in sales volume, which is good. But we're just not hitting that goal. So I'm going to change things up this year and really rethink my whole idea of the real estate team as well, which I'll talk about here soon. All right, I wanted to publish 2 books from my blog and then hire more help for my blog as well. So the blog's done very well. I did end up publishing both of those books. One was with Jay Scott, who's also a very successful flipper. I know many of you know him. And it was a book on negotiating real estate is what we published. So we worked on that for a long time. Really great book. Awesome book. That one, has been big success. Really happy with it. We made it to an audiobook as well. So if you're interested, you can always get it on Amazon. The book on negotiating real estate, audiobook, ebook, paperback book, all of those versions are available. And I also published my book, How to Buy a House, which kind of goes over the basics of buying real estate, which a lot of people want to invest in real estate. A lot of agents want to sell real estate, but they don't know everything there is to know about buying or selling houses. So that book is really to give the basics and even some more, intricate concepts of house buying. And I think it's a lot really good base information for anybody who wants to be in real estate. There's just so much that goes on that I've learned from being a real estate agent for 16, 17 years now, and an investor at that same time as well. So that book has done well. I really enjoyed publishing that book. So it's just kind of an educational tool for other people, whether you're an investor or just anybody whoever is going to buy and sell a house. So those 2 were great. And we did hire a lot of people for the website, different contractors, companies to help with different things. Some were successful, some were not. But I've really tried to put kind of anything I make off the blog and website back into it to make it better, bigger, more useful for people. All right. I don't always discuss all of my goals publicly, so I have some other goals that I keep to myself. I try to keep a small portion of my life not public. But I mentioned the possibility of buying a Countach or a Aston Martin in 2017. I didn't really make it a goal, so I didn't really do a very good job of that. And I didn't end up buying either one of those cars, but I did buy a Lotus Esprit V8 twin turbo, which is a fantastic car. I've kind of always loved the Esprits since I was a kid, and I've always kept my eye on them. And I have my eBay searches set up for different cars that I like and love, and that's one of those cars. And there's a car that popped up on eBay that was azure blue. It's kind of a bluish, almost purple, not quite purple. V8 twin turbo, 1998, 30,000 miles, really good shape, and it was $38,000. Good price for that car. And I saw it, I'm like, oh man, I have to get this car. So I was watching it, and it sold. Actually, I tried to bid on it, and eBay wouldn't let me bid on it because I didn't have my account verified or something, that much money. It ended up selling, and I called the dealer, talked to him, like, yeah, we've got a deposit on it. If anything happens to the car, we'll let you know. And so 2 days later, the dealer called me back and said, hey, the guy who put the deposit down on this car backed out. He couldn't get financing. Are you still interested? I'm like, yes, I'm interested. So they sent me some videos, looked at the car, and I'm like, I'll take it. So I put down my deposit, ended up paying for it. They shipped it to me, and I got it a few weeks later, and it was more than I ever expected. I'd never driven a V8 Esprit before, and it is a fun car. It is a blast to drive. Beautiful car. People think it's my Lamborghini. If they aren't a real car person, they'll think I'm just driving the blue Lamborghini around. It's actually the Esprit, but love that car. Unfortunately, right now it's in the mechanic shop because we hurt the transmission a little bit, but hopefully they'll get fixed soon. One thing to know about those cars is Lotus put in a V8 engine with twin turbos, like I said, that could go up to 500 horsepower. They detuned it to 350 horsepower because they had a Renault transmission in it that couldn't quite handle 500 horsepower, and they didn't want a bunch of warranty, returns for broken transmissions. So they detuned the car to 350 horsepower. Well, whoever I bought it from, we didn't know this when I bought it, had put a chip in it and modified it to get close to 450, maybe more horsepower, and a ton of fun, that's for sure. But yeah, it also did break the transmission. So we're going to rebuild the transmission, make it a little beefier and stronger to handle the extra power it has. But that's a great car. All right. So those were the main goals I wanted to talk about for 2017. Like I said, came close to some of them, accomplished some others, but really it was a great year, a fun year, had a really good time with my team, with flipping houses, and a really good base for 2018. So looking at 2018, what are some of my goals for this year? I made a goal. Actually, yeah, I lied earlier. I changed my goal for flipping. I said I wanted to flip more. Oh, no, maybe I didn't give you the number. What I was kind of had in my head, I wanted to flip 36 houses in 2018. But I changed that goal to I want to make $100,000 a month flipping houses. And my thought process was, I can flip 40 houses and not make as much money as if I flip 10 houses. The number of houses I flip isn't important, but really the money you make from it is more important. You want to make sure you have enough profit per deal. You're doing them quick enough. You're not buying bad houses and not making any money. That doesn't do any good. So I made a goal to make $100,000 a month flipping houses. And to do that, I basically have to flip 3 houses a month, maybe one extra one. I've always kind of averaged right around $30,000 in profit per flip. And that's after repairs, after financing costs, and after some of my team costs, which helped me out on it. And so that would get me really close to that $100,000 a month. Maybe we up the profit a little bit on each property. Maybe I buy 1 or 2 extra ones during the year. But that's my goal. And that will stretch me. That will push me to work harder. Like I said, I tend to buy some problem properties sometimes. I've got a couple right now that we've had to work with the county to add a second lot onto a property to make it legal and conforming. Other ones have needed a ton of work and had problems with foundations and other issues. And those properties always tend to eat up so many resources with money, with time, with contractors. And even if I make a little more money on them, it's usually much better to flip a couple easier houses that I might not make as much money on versus the big, huge projects where I run into problems. So I'm really going to work this year on being smart about what houses I buy, not just buying any house I can make money on, but making sure I have a plan if they need a ton of work. I have contingencies for problems that rise up. Just keep track of what properties I'm buying more. And that should help. Of course, I'm doing more direct marketing, which has increased my profits at the end of the year with the houses I bought from that direct marketing. Had one house we made over $50,000 on that I bought for $120,000. Great profit margins. I wrote a little write-up on that, but that was amazing. So, of course, if you're interested in that direct marketing program, let me know. Mark at InvestFourMore.com. I can give you some information on it. But it's been great, huge success buying properties from that. I bought 3 or 4 from that last year. I've got another one actually that I might be picking up here soon from my first campaign, which I did back in June. I've been talking to the people the whole time, and they're finally looks like they might be ready to sell. So that's my flipping goal. And of course, I've got all my flips. You can see all the pictures, videos, everything, numbers on them under my resources page on InvestFourMore.com, or you can just go to InvestFourMore.com/flips, and you'll find all the details there as well. All right, another goal I had last year, like I said, I didn't really have a rental property goal because I stopped buying residential rentals in 2015 since prices rose so high here. And I've talked a lot about that before. Our median prices have almost tripled. Rents have not even come close to that. And residential properties just don't cash flow as well. So I didn't buy any residential rentals in 2016. What I have done is kind of replace that with my goal to buy the 50,000 square foot building, which would kind of be a rental property. But I actually ended up buying 4 commercial properties in 2017. So that wasn't really something I expected or a goal I set. It just kind of happened. So I saw some properties on the MLS that were really good deals for commercial properties. I'm like, man, I should look into this more. So I ended up looking to demand, supply, prices, cash flow, and bought 4 commercial rentals. One was a shop for my own personal supplies, and I can put a couple of cars in. That's worked out great. I bought that from a friend who was looking to sell it. Another one was kind of a furniture restoration place that was $110,000, super cheap, that we have rented out for $1,500 a month right now. Another place was kind of a little retail store, which I bought it for $100,000 from Facebook, which we have rented out for $1,500 a month now. Another one was a bigger commercial place we bought for $290,000, close to 7,000 square feet. We did some renovations on the top floor. That is rented out for $4,500 a month now, and we might also go back and finish the basement and get another unit finished and rent that out as well. So it's been an awesome experience with commercial rentals, something I didn't expect. So I changed my goal for 2018 as well for rentals from really not having a goal last year to I want to add $6,000 a month in passive income. So that would include the big kind of 50,000 or 70,000 square foot commercial building I'm buying, which would add a couple to few $1,000s a month in income. And then so I figure I'll need to buy about 6 more commercial rentals that were smaller, or maybe a couple more that are bigger to get that to that number. So again, it's not really a number of properties I want to buy. It's more of a cash flow number I want per month at the end of the year, have $6,000 more coming in without me doing, any work on those, obviously. So new goal for next year, adding that passive income. Another big goal that kind of goes in line with me buying the large building for 2018 is I want to start my own real estate office. And I am 99% sure I'm going to do that this year. Just want to be on my own. I'll have less expenses, less costs. I'll have my own building with space in it, so it'll be more cost effective in that route as well. There's really no reason not for me to do it. In the past, I didn't want to start my own office because a lot of my REO and HUD accounts for foreclosures go through my broker. And I don't own my own office now. I just kind of operate a team in another office. And so if I left this office and started my own, there's a chance some of those REO and HUD accounts would not have come with me. They would have stayed with the broker. I'd have to reapply, try and get in with them again. But now that I'm not really in the REO business anymore, that's not holding me back. So my plan is kind of start my own office. I have a dream of having an office where I can kind of work in there, have my offices, have my team all there, and then a place to park cars and stuff too inside. We'll see if that happens. But always be nice to be able to drive one car to work, leave it there, take another car home, make sure I'm driving my cars enough and not just letting them sit in the garage. So, of course, I'll update you with all that, but that's a goal coming up here. Another personal goal that I added for 2018 is I will buy an Aston Martin V8 or a Lamborghini Countach this year. I am working on this goal as we speak, actually. There's a car I've been talking to the owner about. I found it a couple months ago, and it is probably 90% done deal. So, of course, I will post about that when that happens too. I'll keep you guessing on which one it is, but it's beautiful. It's something I'd wanted since I was a kid. Extremely rare. You hardly ever see them, and yeah, it's going to be fun. So that's all I'll say about that. So there's that goal. And then I've got some more personal goals, other stuff going on, but I'm not going to disclose a lot of the blog goals, personal income goals, things like that. Like I said, I like to keep a little stuff private, but I do have other stuff too that I am working on. So those are most of my goals for 2018. We'll see how I do. Something else to think about while you're setting goals when you're trying to accomplish them is, a lot of people set resolutions, New Year's resolutions. Oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. But they forget about them a couple weeks into the year, a month into the year. You've got to have a way to keep track of these goals. You've got to have a way to review them on a regular basis. I try to review my goals every week, which doesn't always happen, but at least every month review your goals, if not sooner. I'm going to make it really a habit to try and review them every week to make sure I'm point with what I really want to do. Otherwise, you forget about them. It's really easy to forget what your big picture is, what you're trying to accomplish. So make sure you review them. By me talking about my goals in this podcast, by me writing about my goals in the blog, it also adds accountability. I've got thousands of people who are paying attention to my goals. Not like you guys are going to come yell at me or send me nasty emails if I don't accomplish them or forget about them, but it still makes me want to work on them, do good for the people who are paying attention to me, giving me support. So if there's a way that you can have someone who will help you be accountable, that's something to think about as well. If you've got a partner, a spouse, children, parents, coworkers, friends, whoever it is, can be tough sharing goals and personal goals to people, but it will make them easier to accomplish if you do share them and you work with each other and you try and help each other and motivate each other to do what you really want to do in life. All right, that's all I've got for this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please let me know. Send me an email, like I said. Comment on the post if you're on InvestFourMore.com. I respond to everything personally. Let me know what some of your goals are. Let me know if there's any goals I need to add or anything else I need to be thinking about that's going on in the real estate world. And I hope everybody has an amazing 2018. Hope everybody grows as a person and their business grows, or maybe it's already where you want it to be. Then awesome. All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. And we'll be back next week.